All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. I'm Andy Winnig, and I'm really excited to be on the call today. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera for a minute. I just wanted to give you a visual, so you give kind of visual me, and we're going to go ahead and get started. If you haven't yet, go ahead and type into the chat box where you're calling in from. If you haven't yet, go ahead and type where you're calling in from, something you're grateful for today. If you have any questions, I'll encourage you to keep typing those in throughout the call. And so go ahead and tell me, let me know what you're most grateful for today. I'm super grateful for you giving me about 60 minutes of your time to learn something new. This is something I'm extremely passionate about, sharing and teaching. And this is probably the most interesting audience for me to teach it to, because just by being on the call today, I can tell that you're interested in taking action and growing your business, grow whatever it is you're working on. I'm very excited about it, and thank you everyone for signing in. There's a lot of people leaving comments in the chat box where you're coming from, so thank you everyone. We got Lowell, Mass, Rockwell, Texas. We've got someone grateful for the weather. I know I'm in the Boston area too, and it's been beautiful all week. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to go through this pretty quickly, a lot of these slides, because I have a lot of different slides to share. But this is really all about, for me, when people say, what does growing your list really mean? What does it mean to grow your list through your website? I'm assuming there's a lot of entrepreneurial types on this webinar right now. So some of you may be business owners, small business owners, freelancers, but I'm assuming a lot of entrepreneurs or entrepreneurial-minded individuals. And what I really teach is how to attract legitimate leads. So how to use your website and blog to develop those relationships so people can learn to trust you. And that trust happens, the nice thing about online, it's 24/7, that trust happens even when you're asleep. And so welcome to the folks. We've got somebody who's 73 degrees somewhere. That's great. Concord, Mass. Very nice. People are grateful for the ability to learn the elevator pitch and all that kind of stuff. So my mission, just to let you know a little about where I'm coming from, took me about 4 years to learn the skills that I'm teaching you today. It was 4 years of updating my website and watching my stats and being very disappointed. And my mission is that it's not going to take you 4 years to learn this stuff, because your website can attract real leads. And you'll see how fun that is here in a minute. It's fun talking to people who have already read your material and have pre-qualified themselves as interested in talking to you. So that's my passion, helping other people learn these skills so they can set up their website to have the right elevator pitch to attract more of the right people for their list. And that's really been what growing my list has been about for me. It's able to reach a larger audience and serve this mission by teaching people how to develop trust as they meet people and expand their client base. So thank you again for joining me today. You've made an awesome choice, and this is a completely free webinar. I'm going to walk you through exactly how I did this myself. I went from 80 website visits per month and no leads to over 2,000 visits and 40 email address leads per day. I figured it out step by step, making mistake after mistake, until I finally figured out what it is that I'm going to be teaching you today, and I'm very excited. So I'm going to walk you through step by step how to do this for yourself in the next, over the next couple of months. I mean, yes, it takes time to develop your website, and there are things you can do. I'm going to share a formula you can put in place and really start seeing results in about 2 months. And of course, there's some things to learn. It takes a minute to learn, lifetime to master. But I want you to think that you have to wait years to do this, because there are things that you can do right now, today. And the faster you take action, the quicker you're going to be able to generate the leads you want and the results you want. To start bringing in leads from your website right now. And again, it doesn't matter what business you're in. I'm going to show you how I did this, and this is information that I've not seen anyone teaching anywhere. So let's go ahead and dive in. If this sounds exciting to you, if this is the information you're interested in, then go ahead and type in the chat box. Let me know you're excited about it and you're in the right place, and this has been what you're looking for. So let me just know how excited you are to create a lead generating machine, to talk to more of the kind of people that you want to talk to learn how to get your website to the point that is what you're doing. Oh, but that's a lot of excited people. Excellent. Excellent. Good. I am excited. Yep, excited, very excited. Here we go. Let's get started. Good, good, good. So here are the proven facts. 2,000 hits a day. Oh, no, not that kind of hit. Although I must admit, as a baseball fan, particularly a David Ortiz fan, I found this terminology very confusing. Hits is web speak for the number of times someone clicks on a page on your website. And as I mentioned, 4 years ago, I was getting 80 clicks a month. Now you can see this is the chart from this morning, and you can see that even this morning when I was finishing up these slides, I have over 1,000 hits, almost 1,000 hits on my website even this morning. It's really nice waking up to that every morning, waking up to that kind of activity on my website. And do you think there's some opportunity there? I mean, but here's the thing. Unlike in baseball, hits on your website don't really mean anything, not unless you convince them to give you their email address. I wasted a lot of opportunity for many months because people were coming. People were coming to my website, started visiting my website, and then they were leaving just as fast, never to be seen again. That's really the thing online, right? If someone clicks on your website and then clicks away, you'll never see them again. So how do you capture that? Well, that's coming up here in the content in a second. But here's what I'm converting right now. It's 40 email addresses a day. My list grows by over 1,000 subscribers per month, and I'm not spending any money on advertising. I got a lot of questions before the webinar about, shoestring budgets and that kind of stuff, and I have spent no money doing the stuff that I'm doing today. I mean, I host my website and that kind of thing, but that's pretty much it. And my website itself just topped over 1 million hits. That's pretty exciting. And I have over 20,000 people on my email list. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of exciting opportunities. And if you look at those numbers, that's a lot of people. And for those who are interested in the elevator pitch, right, if you can get a strong message in front of those people, you'll get some leads, right? I mean, that's a lot of people you can capture. So then what? Okay, I want to share a story. We're going to get into the really fun part here. So I'm going to ask, before I get into the story, I'm going to ask you to put your phone down. Many of you are holding it in your hand. So flip it over, put it aside. I want you to shut down the other screen on your computer and blow the screen up so it's full screen. I'm going to share some very interesting information over the next 45 to 60 minutes. And I'm going to go through this pretty quickly because I've got a lot to share, a lot of slides. And I want to get to as much as I can in a short amount of time. And my request is that you stay on and stay committed until the very end because I want to make sure that I get you all of this information. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to give away a bonus to someone. We're in this interactive program. I want to make sure you get as much out of it as possible. So at the end of the webinar, I'm going to give away a half-hour phone call with me. That's $175 value just for participating. Any questions you got about the elevator pitch or about online stuff or about your website. So just for participating in the chat box and putting through great comments about the material. So at the end of the program, I'll pick the person who is the most involved and have the best comments. So it's not just about posting once, just like online. It's not just about putting up one comment. And it's not posting about the weather or what you had for lunch or me tooing other people's comments. It's about mastering the skills of the trust, mastering these skills, using these techniques and templates and coming up with something that's authentically you and will bring you more leads. So what do all great website stories start with? A landing page. Well, not this landing page. This is my current page that sells copies of my book. And I do sell a couple of copies a month if I'm not promoting it at all. But the landing page I want to talk about was for a program that I was running many, many years ago, before I was an elevator pitch coach, before I had written a book, when I was just starting out. And I put the landing page up and connected it to PayPal and sat waiting for the sales to come in. I waited a day. On the second day, I changed some of the text around. On the third day, I moved the Buy Now button. On the fourth day, I was really frustrated and started doing some digging. And I discovered, to my horror, that the total number of people that had visited my website, the total number of hits to that page on my website, the mind-boggling number of people who had actually seen my carefully crafted sales message was exactly 0. That's right, folks. I could have changed that page around until I was blue in the face. But nobody was looking at it. I was wondering why people weren't buying. There's a question, how do you buy the book? It's elevatorpitchhandbook.com. If you go to elevatorpitchhandbook.com, that's the website I just put up. So I was wondering why people weren't buying, but the real issue was that no one had seen it. Literally 0 eyeballs had landed on this page. So starting on that day, I went on a mission to figure out how to get more people to visit my website. Now, I can't guarantee that you'll get thousands of hits and tens of leads per day, but I'll share with you in a second how quickly you can develop a website that attracts the right kind of people when you use these skills we're talking about today. Yes, the faster you take action, the quicker you're going to be able to drive traffic to your website and capture them as leads. And I'm super pumped to show you how it works. I'm going to go over the agenda really quickly, and then I'm going to keep diving into this information because I'm going to share with you guys exactly how to do this in a little bit. So I'm going to go into my story a little bit, how I got into growing my list. I know I just shared a story with you about a powerful result. But I'm going to tell you how I got into it. Then I'm going to give you examples of 3 or 4 people who are clients or who are becoming clients directly from my website. Notice that not all of them gave me their email address. Some just picked up the phone and called. They're from all different industries, and each is a perfect client for me in a very good way. Then we're going to talk about how growing your list leads to better results. So, quick show of hands, or in the chat box, go ahead. How many people expect to get leads out of their website, and how many actually get leads from their website? I'm talking about any kind of lead, a phone call or an email, or so I'm talking. So you can put in yes, 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 I expect leads, and yes, I'm getting them, or yes, no, or no, no. So just let me know kind of what's the state of your website now. Are you getting leads, or not as much, or I get leads, not as many as you. Okay, I get leads, but not often. Okay, no, no. We get donors from our website. Great, that's a great reason to be on today. Like that, it's a great way to attract donors to your site. My website's in development. That's a great place to be. No, yes, I expect leads. Okay, that's awesome. Very cool. So some of you already understand the power of your website, and you're doing well, and that's awesome. And today I'll teach you some new stuff that you can hopefully attract even more people to your website and turn more people into clients and donors and leverage your time even better. So the next part of the agenda, I'm going to be sharing with you the 3-step organic Google attraction system. The 3-step organic Google attraction system. This is going to be the main content, going over exactly what's involved in the process of growing your list through your website. Okay, there's a lot that goes on with your website. There's a lot behind the scenes. Choosing your domain and your template and your homepage and what to call your blog and how to set up your menu structure and the kind of content you put up and where you put your calls to action. And that, of course, doesn't include any other methods you might be using, like giving talks or sending an email newsletter or writing a book or anything like that. Then there's the grow your list process. Then there's the third part, which is the follow-up process. You can't develop trust instantly. You usually don't make a sale right there on your landing page, despite what people will have you believe. You don't usually make a sale right there directly on your landing page, not for anything that really matters. So that all happens later, after their first visit. So this is when the relationship starts. You won't actually close any work the first time you see them, so you have to have a real solid system for follow-up. So there's really 3 parts to growing your list, and I'm going to be sharing with you the middle part. Really what skills you want to learn to develop that turn your website into a lead-generating machine. We'll be learning that during the webinar, and then at the very end of this training, I'll be showing you how you can take the whole package. We've got an advanced training for those who are interested in signing up, really how to grow your list. So you can take what I give you now and apply it. That's fine. Go off and do it. Or you can get the whole thing with this advanced training. I'm going to be talking about that, how to really take it to the next level. And then I'll be doing a Q&A at the end for about 15 minutes. We'll go over questions. Anything you're wondering from the content of the webinar, or your website, or lead generation. I'll stay on as long as people have questions. Then we're going to do the bonus giveaway. Remember that I'm giving someone a free half-hour call with me, whoever interacts the best through the chat box. So take good notes and participate in the chat box. And I'll wait until the very end so we can make sure that we can do the webinar. Because if you only have one chat, then you're not going to be chosen. So I see a lot of people with their hands raised. I don't have much I can do with that. If you want to tell me something, go ahead and type it in the chat box. I'll be happy to handle what you're talking about. I've got everyone on mute. We got a lot of people on the call, so I'm handling everything through the chat box today. So, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. So let's go ahead and get started. Ready? So the first part of the agenda. We have someone who can't hear audio. I assume many of you are hearing audio. I'm going to keep going. You got to click on the join audio. Can't hear it. Click on the. Sorry, just trying to get her. So if you're not on the audio, I know you can't hear me if you're not on the audio, but all right, so first part of the agenda, a little about me. I'm going to fly through this pretty quickly because I want to get to the content here in a second. For those who don't know me, I want to talk about this, a little bit about me. Back in 2001, I was living the dream. I was being paid 6 figures a year with plenty of stock options at a web startup called Informio. As a software developer, I was being paid to develop highly reliable telephony software systems that could handle thousands of simultaneous callers in every major city across the country. I was on the fast track to being a VP of engineering when one day, 14.5 years ago, it all came crumbling down, literally. 2 planes flew into the Twin Towers in New York. IT spending dried up. Our venture capitalists pulled back their money. And on January 1st, 2002, I was unemployed for the first time in my 15-year computer career. There were no computer jobs, and I had a very strong motivation for finding a way to make money. I did not want to move back in with my parents. So I started looking for a new career. Long story short, I bought in a franchise called Fish Window Cleaning. So this is me, all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed in May of 2002 when I started my window cleaning business. And I spent the next year and a half doing everything, cleaning, selling, hiring, payroll, collections. I was the original man with many hats. Then I hired a manager, trained him how to run the business, and started working part-time in the window business and part-time growing my coaching business. Then one day, I meet a guy named Adam. Adam was a web developer who came very highly recommended from one of my networking groups, and with good reason. He gave me 2 insights about blogging that I had not heard before, and I have never heard since. And as with so many of these things, the advice was simple and not easy. You'll see what I'm talking about in just a minute. So I started applying what I learned. I spent the next 18 months following his advice, and traffic starts coming to my website and runs right out the back door. People arrive, then leave. I'm not capturing anything. So I designed and get Adam to code a piece of software that customizes and emails you your own personalized elevator pitch. Almost everyone on this call has experienced that piece of software. I'll tell the rest of that story a little later today. For right now, I'll say that when I put that piece of code on my website, nothing happened. Nothing happened. It took a few more tweaks and making a few more mistakes. Today, it is that same piece of code that convinces 40 people a day to share their email address with me. But there were other things I had to learn. Right? It's not just having the thing. It's not just having that on the website. There are a couple of other things that we're going to be talking about today that move that. Now, I know that websites work, but the thing is, it's easy to overlook just how well it's working. I have clients in Australia, Serbia, and Florida, and there are only 2 things that they all have in common. They found my website through Google, and they are perfect customers for me. And here's the real kicker. Earlier this year, I got a call from a woman I worked with over 3 years ago. She's at a new point in her business and signed up for my coaching program again. She's been following me through my newsletter. She signed right up. And I get more and more leads like that every week. That's having a strong list. That's what having and growing a really big list has done for me. It's a fun and exciting way to grow a business. And I realized that the website is prospecting for me. It's teaching people who I am and what I'm about. I don't have to make all the contacts. It brings leads to me, pre-qualified leads. And those, as you know, are the easiest leads to close. So I'm an entrepreneur. So I'm an engineer turned entrepreneur. I don't clean windows anymore. I spend 5 to 7 hours a week on my window cleaning business, and the rest of the time I coach other business owners, give presentations, develop training programs. I've been a finalist for Small Business of the Year and Franchisee of the Year. I've won sales awards and inspiration awards and been on the radio and TV. I've even hosted a few TV shows. But here's the thing that I'm most excited about, most passionate about, what growing my list has done for me. It allows me the freedom to do what I want. So for me, I want to be able to chase my dreams and live them, not just talk about them. I want to be able to pursue them on a daily basis and do what fills me up energetically. I spend 3 full weeks at the beach with my family every summer, which doesn't include our Disney World vacation in April or a trip to Storyland coming up this fall. And I play basketball in a local league and go downhill skiing as often as I can. And this really fills me up. Getting the opportunity to know that I have my business in place and that it's running in the back end. I wake up every morning with more leads, and I'm getting passive income coming in, and my website is supporting that. Then I can play the piano and travel and do what I want with my family. It's a very powerful experience, and feeling for me to be able to do that. And I don't know if anyone else feels this way. They don't want to work in their business, 15 to 20 hours a day, really work hard at it, but instead set up the systems and leverage the tools that support saving you time. And that's really what my website has done for me. I kind of stumbled into it by accident because I got a couple of pieces of surprisingly good advice, and then I took it and ran with it, and allows me to do everything else that I want to do. So I feel so blessed and grateful every day. I don't take any of this for granted. So enough about my story. I probably went on a little too long, but I wanted to give people a little example of who I am and what I've created. So you know that a guy with kind of no business or sales experience who got laid off, if I can do this stuff and chase my dreams at the same time, travel the world, then everyone here who's extremely intelligent, who's got the experience, got the drive as well, I know you can do this equally as well, if not better. So you just have to have the right system. You have to take the right action. So it's my goal to share with you the system right now, and then you've got to be committed to taking the action, because if you just think about it, it's not going to happen. So here's the thing about websites. They work. They work. That's why people continue to create them, and this is why they haven't gone out of style, because they work, even for people who aren't very good at it. And I get frustrated when I see people not being successful, because with just a little tweaking can bring you a lot of qualified leads. So I'm going to share some case studies with you now, just a second. People, most of whom I never would have met through any sales or networking channel, but they are perfect customers for me, whether they're next door or around the world. It really works, and that's why this is the perfect time for you to jump in and start growing your list right now. I'm not talking about a year from now. I'm talking stuff you can do on your website this afternoon, or if you have to get in touch with a web person, maybe tomorrow, that will start getting Google's attention. It works and it generates profits. It's that simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. And it may seem scary, but it doesn't have to be. Okay, so I'm going to share with you some 3 case studies of just average, ordinary clients that have been extraordinary for my business. I'm going to go through this kind of quickly because I want to get to the content here in a second. So Jeff, I'm going to a couple of clients. So Jeff is the guy who found my website, was working through the material. As you know, there's a lot of material on my website, and reached out to ask me about coaching. So I sent him the details. And just 2 nights ago, this email I'm showing you is just from 2 nights ago, I had this email back from him. He's so happy with what he's learned. You know, he's already landed a client. Here's what he said. I need to pitch more, but right now it's 100% success. And if you look closely at that, he's afraid to admit that he's only got 1 client, 100% success. But Jeff, you said you might be on the call today. I hope you're out there. That's a huge win. When you can get 1 client, you can get more. And so he's putting off the coaching for a bit, and that's great. I love these kinds of stories because over time, Jeff is the kind of guy who will refer me to other people he knows or bring me in to talk to his company or maybe become one of my Platinum Private coaching clients, right? So that's an example of something that just, he came in from the website. He's actually using enough information on the website to make some progress. And you know what? Once he gets stuck, he'll get in touch. The next one is from Vicki. Vicki's down in Florida. She sent me an email. I've been going through your site and impressed with your elevator pitch content. Would like to discuss the idea of a joint venture partnership. So I call her immediately. Now, I'll be talking more about these partnerships in the advanced training that I'll cover in a minute because most are a huge waste of time, but not this one. Let's just say that over the last 2 months, I've been working closely with her and her partner to develop a program that we're delivering monthly to their professional organization. We have between 20 and 30 people on the call, and it's going to help the people in their organization get much better leads from each other. Huge opportunity for me. I'll also say that when you think about the website, she was not looking at my carefully designed menu structures or static pages. She was looking at my blog, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. But she was not poking around on my website, and I know because I can see the stats, and I'll talk in a minute about that too. That nobody's really poking around through my menu structure. They're all looking at my blog. So I encourage you. What I'm going to be encouraging you today. One of the big things is spend less time on the static elements of your website and more time creating content. And again, more on how to do that in a minute. Now, you may have noticed so far that these are just kind of opportunities. Not a whole lot of money has changed hands. So let's look at some real paying clients. So Nick actually used my online software tool and then put some questions through, so I responded. And he came back with a key phrase. I've been asked to look into our elevator pitch because management has found our sales team are wasting too many precious networking opportunities. So I took this, which it was, as a huge buying signal and sent him an email back that said essentially, well, here are my thoughts on what you're talking about. I'd feel remiss if I didn't mention that, I train sales teams and, here are kind of the products that I work. And he wrote back almost immediately. Now, this guy's in Australia, but he wrote back almost immediately. He let me know what time it would be most convenient to chat. And again, this guy, you've got to think that there are marketing people between Boston and Australia who could have helped this guy with the work he wanted done. And I didn't get to go to Australia. I actually did the training. I did the training on video conference, which was fun. I mean, it was a great training, a lot of fun. And that's how I ended up doing the 90-minute training for an architectural firm in Australia. And the training was over video conference. It was a great project, and it paid well. And especially not having to travel there, it was really nice. So he's an example of that. I mean, that was a great thing. And you know what? There was no sales cycle with this. We talked on the phone. I wrote him a proposal. He accepted the proposal almost the instant I gave it to him. And this all came because he went to my website. He was doing some stuff on my website. I answered a couple of simple questions, and then he signed right up. And so, for those of you out there who are looking to get more donors and more stuff, this is exactly the kind of thing that we're talking about, right? People come in, poke around on your website, figure out what you're doing, and then want to help you. So then let's talk about Danilo. Danilo is probably, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but Danilo is probably my favorite story because he sent me this very terse email. I'd like to set up 2 hours with you. And so he already knew which program he wanted. And when I actually talked to him, he was apologetic that he had kind of signed up so fast, but he knew what he was getting. I mean, I don't think anyone was surprised. So I sent him the payment link. He put his credit card through immediately. And that's how I ended up doing a Skype call with this guy in Serbia. And you can watch out for him. He's going to be changing the way real estate gets sold. He's really got some cool ideas for changing the whole real estate process. So no kidding. His product is that cool and it's that amazing. So now imagine having these kinds of opportunities, people asking to send you money so that you can work with them. So would anyone here, leave something in the comment box if you'd like to be one of these success stories, to start expanding your website so opportunities just fall into your lap. So you have these same kinds of stories about people for you. So if you're interested in that type of game, that type of business, and being a success story that I can feature in the future, go ahead and type that in the question box if you would. If this is something you're thinking that you would like to be, something that you would think would be helpful to your business, go ahead and let me know that in the chat box. Go ahead. I'm seeing yes. Yes from Dana. Good job. Yep. Good. Yep. Of course. Okay. Cool. Great. Everyone. So I'm seeing. So that was very cool. So I'm pumped that you're also engaged and excited about this. So hopefully you're taking notes and getting ready. Yep. So people are still saying yes. It's coming in. Very good. So we'll get that giveaway toward the end. But let's get into the next part of content. The next part of the agenda that I promised you, which is how to get better results from a bigger list. Because growing the list is only the first part. Then you actually have to sign up customers, and you have to do something with your list. So here's the formula. Hopefully you're taking notes. This is the really fun part. The cool fun part about websites, you can really start to gauge how much sales you're going to do because you know the averages and the numbers. So I'm going to give you the averages. If you already have a website, and assuming you already have some form of website, you're maybe redoing it. Again, it's kind of based on averages. So don't say that when you put your first blog post up, this is definitely what will happen. But this is what I've seen happen for a lot of people around these averages. Some are a little better, some are a little worse, but these are about the average. So let's assume that starting out, you're not even getting a lead a day. And this is where I started. Maybe a couple a week would trickle in. I celebrated each one. So let's say that you average one a week. That's 4 a month, 200 for a year. And after 5 years, there's your 1,000 people on your list. 5 years! I can hear everyone screaming into the phone. 5 years? What are you talking about? Sure. I mean, you can do it faster than that, and we're going to talk about ways that you can do it faster than that. But if you get 1 lead a week over 5 years, you'll have 1,000 leads, right? And you'll have 1,000 leads, and you have to walk before you can run. So let's say now you're getting 1 lead a day, right? 7 a week, 30 a month, 300 a year, 1,800 in 5 years. But here's where it starts to get interesting. It starts to get very interesting because 10 leads a day lead to over 3,000 people a year. And when you get to 40 leads a day, that's 14,000 a year. Now in practice, my list is growing about 12,000 per year because people do unsubscribe. I actually had about 100 unsubscribes in the past 3 days while promoting this webinar. But in that time, 100 people signed up for this webinar, and 120 new people have signed up for the list, right? I'm getting 40 new a day. So even losing those 100 people, the list is still growing. And I talk more about managing a huge list. There's a lot of stuff you have to learn about. It's very different sending to a list of 500 or 1,000 versus a list of 20,000. So again, more on that in the advanced training. So what does this mean for money? And I'm going to take you through it. I got a great question through the email, and thanks everyone who submitted their questions beforehand and now as we're on the call. Said, I can't afford what landing page sites want, $29.99, and yet GoDaddy, I have limitless web pages. I just don't know how to sell. Honestly, I've tried this last 10 months and it hasn't worked. I'm frustrated I'm on a shoestring budget. So thank you for putting in a great question, and thanks for being on the call. Well, let's say everything starts on a shoestring budget. And remember that I have spent nothing on advertising, which isn't true. I mean, I have tried pay-per-click advertising. I have tried doing that. I spent about $100 on that several years ago, and it didn't work. So I stopped doing it. And this is exactly what these techniques are for. You don't need a fancy landing page package. I don't use one. I design landing pages directly on my WordPress site. But again, the problem isn't the landing page yet. First, you need traffic. First, you need to find a way for people to see it. And I'll suggest that you do know how to sell. And for those of you on the call who are looking for donations, your challenge is you don't have enough prospects, right? Because I'll say it one more time, it's not a lack of sales knowledge. People think they've got a sales problem, but they don't. What they have is a lack of prospects. Because if I put you in front of someone who's interested in your course or in your cause or something like that, you'll sign them up, right? I mean, you're not going to struggle too much on getting that done. You just need more of those kinds of people. And that's really where the website comes in. In just a minute, I'll take you through the 3 steps to generating more of those kinds of leads. It's not an instant fix, right? And you wouldn't want it to be, right? It's not that you can post something up and Google takes it and all of a sudden you're inundated with stuff. It takes Google a while to trust you, and that's probably the way it should be. But there are a few simple things you can do that will gain a lot of momentum. And again, I like to say the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. And so the fact that stuff isn't happening now, right? I mean, again, I just started doing this stuff 4 years ago, and it's now, I'll show you the list again, but my list grows exponentially faster. Like it took me about, 2 years to get the first 1,000 people, and then another year to get the next 1,000, and suddenly it's growing by 1,000 a month. So that's really how it works. And you're better off if you think about your website like networking. The whole idea that people go to your landing page and buy, that's just bunk. I mean, most of my sales on my landing pages come from people that I've known for a while. They've been on my list for a few years. In fact, someone like that bought a book just last week. She's been on the list for 3 years, I think, and she clicked through and just bought my book and got it shipped to her, right? But it's not, I didn't post the book landing page and suddenly everyone's buying the book. It's still about relationships. So you want more traffic, and you want your website to pre-qualify people and teach them what to do. So what does it mean for money? So let's assume, let's take the example of you're doing 2,000 hits per day, and what I'm seeing is about 2% become email leads. And from that, I get about 1 lead a week from non-email, right? So I'm getting people onto email, but there are people who go to my site and don't put in their email, but still decide to contact me. So the number of customers per week is about 2, and they're not, I just did a big training out. I just did a big training out in the Midwest, and that didn't really come from my website. So there's stuff going on outside this. Customers come from all different places, but as you put this stuff in place, it's about 2 customers per week. So then you ask yourself, what's the price of your product? Is it $50? Is it $500? I mean, when you're using the skills you learned here today, you'll average a couple of sales a week, and it probably won't be from someone who joined the list that week. I mean, sales take time. Developing trust takes time. There's nothing instant about it. You ever heard that saying that behind every overnight success is 10 years of hard work? And that's what I'm talking about, right? If you look at these numbers, like over time, the numbers really start to build up and mean something. And some will be instant goes, like that guy from Serbia. I mean, he just decided to get started. But I run a lot of autoresponders, and I make very few sales from those automated emails. What they do is get people used to hearing from me, which prepares them to buy at a later time. And again, for those of you looking for donations, it's the same thing. You get people used to you, they hear from you, that's how it happens. So remember that it's taken me 4 years to get to 20,000 subscribers. It looks like it's not quite 20,000, but I have another list that's of almost 2,000 people, so that in total I have over 20,000 people. And you can see that it ramped up slowly through 13, 14, and 15, and then it suddenly took off. I got a question. Will this program work for a mortgage loan originator? Yeah, I mean, this program works, and I'll be sharing it with you. I'll share it with you in a minute, and you tell me whether you think it makes sense. So the thing we're going to be talking about now is, what is the lifetime value of that customer? That customer you got, because they'll buy other products and services from you. They'll refer you to other clients. Is it $10,000? Is it $100,000? Is it more? So it's pretty cool. So you can kind of figure out the math once you know how many hits you're getting and what your conversion rates are. And, those are all things you can work on. You can work on improving that 2% conversion rate. You can work on bringing more traffic in. And I'm working on some stuff behind the scenes to try to get more hits and leads per day. I have some ideas for how to do that as well. And that's the fun part. I mean, it's fun figuring out, okay, cool, I just need to put up the right material and talk to people the right way, and deliver more value and support people in their problems. So then show them you have a solution to their problem, and it can be in the form of service or a product or a coaching or loan originators or donating to a good cause, any of that kind of stuff. So, and productizing your services. So, because once you have leads, you're going to be in your wheelhouse. I mean, if someone says they're interested in your stuff, let's talk about it. You'll close those, right? I mean, I hope so anyway. And that's the great part of this. Developing relationships take time, and your website is quietly, patiently, and persistently working on that in the background. If you do it right, it's quietly working on that in the background. And again, it's not that menu structure and those static pages. We'll talk in a minute about what it really is. So the person you meet today may close in a month or 3 or 9, which is why it's so important to follow the system and keep bringing in leads. So now let's go on to the next step of the presentation. There's a lot of juicy good stuff. Make sure you're taking a lot of good notes. This is the 3-step organic Google attraction system. All right. This is the good stuff. So I'm going to give you the formula right now, and I really urge you to take down notes and just type your thoughts into the chat box. I'm going to go through this kind of quickly. I'm going to take a sip of water because I'm going to fly through this. Just a second. Okay, ready? Here we go. For the formula, the 3 insights apply to any kind of website and developing any kind of business relationship. The skills flow naturally together to show you as trustworthy and help people get to know who you are and what you can do for them. The skills are content, structure, and landing pages. So let's start with the content. So most people think SEO, search engine optimization, helping people find your website is about, well, I'm not sure what people think it's about. There's a lot of jargon that people throw around, keywords and white hat and long tails and titles and tags. but one web developer gave me the most profound insight. I hadn't heard it before, and I really haven't heard it since. He boiled all of search engine optimization down to just two things. Because remember, Google's job is to provide authentic content. That is all Google cares about. Google wants what shows up on the first page to be what people are looking for. So all the tricks and techniques to fool Google, I mean, come on. Just write authentic content. That was the advice he gave me, because Google likes new content. So if you set up a website and never change it, it falls in the rankings pretty fast. And there are reasons to have static pages on your website. But again, if you're looking to drive traffic to your website, the static website will never drive traffic because it's not changing. Google does not notice it. So the key is consistently publishing content. I now publish several posts weekly, but I don't recommend starting there. I started when I started after my buddy Adam suggested this. I started doing one a month, and then I moved up to every other week, and now it's multiple times per week. And people who know me now can't believe that I used to be bad at writing. And some of my clients even who hired me to help them with their writing, with their sales pages and landing pages and that kind of stuff, don't believe me when I say that I learned. I cringe when I look at some of my early stuff, and you can look at it too. Just go way back in my blog. I mean, I've been blogging for years now. But publishing on a schedule gets Google's attention. I now have almost 300 posts on my blog. There's a new one every week. That's a lot of content built up one post at a time. And the thing about it is that you can't do it overnight. I mean, it's daunting to think about that. How are you going to sit down and write 300 posts all at once? And you wouldn't want to because Google, like those of you who've been on my networking programs, you know that I teach, you got to go to multiple networking. You got to keep going to the networking events. People have to see you and trust you. And Google works the same way. It finds you and then finds you again, and it keeps finding you. And I will say that I got some comments about my marketing for this program. People were amazed that SEO on your homepage, in search engine optimization, was something that that doing it on a homepage is a waste of time. And I had some people were shocked by that. But of the 2,000 hits a day I get maybe 5 on my homepage. 5 of 2,000 my homepage. 20 to 30 on my more popular menu items. There is some stuff in the static, but again, most of the menu people do not. There are 2 menus that people go to. And the rest are all on my blog posts. So yep, there's no need to SEO your home page. I got a question. Kimberly, how often do you blog to start? Thank you, that's a great question. I recommend monthly to start. If you're good at writing or know how to write, then you can start every 2 weeks. But I think somewhere between every 2 weeks and once a month is a good place to start. And she had a follow-up question, how do you develop your content topic? I'm going to talk a bit more about that, and that's something I really get into in the advanced training, is how to develop content over time. There's a couple of good strategies you can use to make that happen. So you always have stuff to write. I mean, I actually have a swipe file, which is just a list of topics that I come up with as I'm going through my day and my week. And the interesting thing about it is that I can develop 5 or 6 ideas per week, and I only write about 1 or 2 of them. So there's 4 topics that never get done. And the amazing thing is that I won't ever do it. It's the kind of thing, if I don't do it that week, I probably won't ever do it. Kimberly's very into the details here. So words, it's about 300 words per blog. They're not very long. And if you're doing weekly stuff, it doesn't need to be very long. Some are longer. I mean, sometimes it's 750 or 1,000 words, but most of my posts are very short. And as for keywords, right? Everyone's always telling you to research your keywords. Kimberly, former engineer, just like me, I hear you. And as for keywords, they don't matter so much in the beginning. You're really better to write authentically about what you know, even and especially if you don't consider yourself a great writer. You can optimize it later. So I have a client who was repurposing posts. She was trying to get Google. She was deleting a post from a couple of years ago and kind of changing the title and reposting it. And no, I mean that's not. You can develop content, and part of this work, the work of bringing in leads is developing content. That's what the web is about. That's what Google is about. That's what the web is about. And so and you can hire people to do this for you, but I've actually found it to be better to do it for myself. And again, I am not a writer. Like I was not. I wrote one good thing in high school, but everything else was okay. But I since I started writing my blog, I've gotten better at it. And I'll say, to answer to Kimberly, the style that works for me is I take a story from what's going on in my life about my kids or my hobbies or my work, and I tie it to a specific lesson about the elevator pitch. And this kind of goes into the answer to another question that I got by email. Again, thanks for sending this in. So the biggest challenge I face driving traffic to my website is where to go to find the people to drive there. Being in the securities industry, we have to run everything by compliance before we can post ads, do marketing, etc. And what I'll suggest is that this question has it backwards, right? If you come away with one thing from what I'm talking about today, and we talk about websites and the work that you're doing to develop content, the web is a powerful place to go out and find people. Sure, it is possible to do that. The even more powerful thing, the thing that is really amazing, is having them find you. Because if you're trying to find them, you're always up against this time thing. It's not the right time for them. If they find you, it is at the right time. The people who get to my website are looking to do something right now. And I'll say too that you want to find your specific point of view. I talked about the elevator pitch. Whatever it is, whether you're looking for donations or whether you're looking to originate loans, you want to find your specific point of view. And if you don't know what that is, that's a good thing we talk about in the advanced training. And then you keep writing about it. That's how Google starts to see you as an expert. That's how Google starts sending you more and more people. And if you can't publish on a schedule, you're like, you know what, I just don't have time for that, then I'd probably recommend networking or some other way. If you're not going to be publishing content, if you don't have a way of publishing content, then the web may not be the right thing. And I'm very open about that. I mean, I coach a lot of people, and the website may not be the first thing you want to work on, right? Depending on your business and the kind of work you're doing and the kind of people that you know, working on your website might not be the fastest way to generating these kinds of leads. I'll talk in a minute about a couple of other ways you can do it. But the web is one way, and again, it's one part of my strategy, but there are other ways that I bring in customers as well. And so the web is cutthroat. I mean, there's tons of new content daily. I don't know how many billions of pages are there now. I have no idea. And you don't have to publish every day, right? And you don't have to publish a 10-page treatise every day. But I do recommend at least every month. If you're not publishing every month, then it's not really, you're kind of falling below the bar there. So refresh content is the first key. And again, anything you can tie that to yourself and to some specific point of view, that really helps. So the second piece, as told to me by my web developer, Adam, is structure. So you want the content in a form that Google understands. And I had this wrong. I had a website for a long time that had it completely wrong. I won't even go into what was wrong with it, but it was the person that told me that she knew what she was doing and she didn't. And what does Google understand? Google understands WordPress. And are there other platforms that would work? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are. But WordPress, Google likes WordPress, and the work, everything that I'm talking about here is based on a WordPress blog. Google seems to find my blog. And again, I'm not doing it. I don't even submit to the engines. I just post things on my website, and Google starts finding them. And Google likes blogs. Those static pages, Google is never going to show those. That's not how it works. Your menu structure, it never shows up in Google. And it's hard to get Google interested in it because it doesn't change, or it doesn't and can't change fast enough. I mean, you're not going to keep updating your menu structure. That doesn't make any sense. What you want to be doing is content. And again, this is why SEO on your homepage is just a huge waste of time. But there's another issue here about structure. I want to say, suppose we just had the Boston Marathon here in Boston, and so suppose that you're manning a water station for a marathon. Now, the way most people approach their website is to set up their water station about 2 blocks away from the race course, and then go over to the marathon route and wave their arms wildly, yelling, "Water, over here, come over here and get your water." Now, can you imagine how tough a sell it is to get marathon runners to run 2 blocks out of their way to get water, right? But the same is true online. I see a lot of people who are optimizing for their business name, right? You better check first how many people are actually searching for your business name. I mean, a lot of people don't even know the name of my business. So I'm not optimized for my business name, right? You want to be on the path. Now, I will say that McDonald's, Microsoft, Nike, they have billions of dollars to spend on advertising, to have people look for them, to have people look for their brand. I'm suggesting that that's not the best place to start for those of us who are here on the call, and I include myself in that. I have no interest in doing like a national media campaign to get my name out there, because I'm already set up where people are looking. It's much easier and cheaper than trying to change the course of the river, right? Be where they are looking for you. And the first step in that process is writing, creating content about the kind of work that you do. Not in your static menu structures in your blog. And you do have to keep writing. Google likes new. And there are a few programs in the advanced training on how to come up with topics. That's something I do get into. It's something I love actually doing with people, is developing topics. It's a fun thing. And once you get started at it, again, you end up with too many topics. Like my problem isn't that I can't find topics. My problem is that I have too many topics, and it's hard to figure out what to write. The harder thing is figuring out what to write about this week. And as well as monitoring your website stats to figure out the right keywords. And that's right. I'm going against what most people out there are saying. I do not find my keywords by using the keyword tool. There are specific things I'll use the keyword tool for, but I do not use the keyword tool to figure out my keywords. I find them by writing, posting to my blog, and then seeing what kinds of traffic I'm getting. I'm seeing what people clicked on and how they got there and what they were searching for. And that's the story of the page that generates most of my traffic. I wrote a blog post, and it started to get some traffic. I'll tell you that story in a minute. So that to me is SEO. When you post content consistently to your blog, you check your stats, you see where things are coming. It's in your blog. It's opportunistic. It's putting yourself where people expect you to be, right? So not under McDonald's, but under burgers or fries or play areas for kids. Right, there's lots of places you can be for that. So we've done the first two steps: consistent content and a WordPress blog. That's the first two steps: consistent content, publishing schedule and a WordPress blog, and then watch the stats. You start to see traffic. Your authentic writing will include keywords that people are looking for, and then you can hop on to that kind of traffic. So now now you have a landing page, right? I mean, all this talk about landing pages. It's funny to me because your blog is your biggest landing pages. And then, by the way, LinkedIn is another landing page as well. Like anywhere if people are looking for you, LinkedIn shows up pretty high on the list. So that's what happened to me. I noticed an uptick in traffic to one of my blog posts. I was like, that's interesting. So I wrote a blog post to those keywords, right? And that was the research that I did, right? Again, I wasn't using the keyword tool. I just noticed that people were looking for something. And so I wrote a blog to try to give it to them. Got a lot more traffic. And this is where the fun starts, because I put products up there. I put links. I changed the links to buttons. I made the buttons red. Nothing worked. And I had someone email in, I'm trying to sell on my website. Nothing's working. I'm not selling anything. And I also couldn't get people to click on anything. And that is actually part of the fun once you have traffic. You can try things. With 2,000 visitors a day, I can gather information pretty quickly on what's working. And what I found, I could not get people to click over to my new software tool. So what did I do? I put the software tool right there on the page. I'm embarrassed to say it took me more than a month to figure this out. I was trying all sorts of things to entice them. People were landing on this page, and I was trying to entice them over to the page that had my tool on it. And what I finally did, I put it right there on the page. I plopped it right there in the middle of that page. Success. That's where the 40 email addresses come from. And again, I didn't get 40 email addresses that first day, right? It builds up over time. But I got to tell you, I'm watching the stats, and people are not clicking around my site. They land on the page. They use the tool. Some may go exploring after that. And again, I know which 2 or 3 menu structures they're looking at most of the time. But most of the static pages on my website, I'm getting a lot of traffic to my website every day, and there is 0 traffic to most of my static pages. People just aren't looking at them. People are looking for what they're looking for. So just give it to them right there on the page. And you know what? I learned this lesson the hard way several years ago, and I learned it again. It's so frustrating because I learned it again just 2 months ago when I finally made my website mobile friendly. I was losing search because my website wasn't mobile friendly, so I made it mobile friendly. And as part of that, I moved my newsletter sign up box from the bottom of the page to the sidebar, above the fold, as they would say in the newspaper industry. It shows up, it shows up first on your screen. So yes, I do have 2 email lists. Well, actually I have 5, but only 2 that you can sign up for my website. One is for my software tool, and the other is my weekly elevator pitch tips email newsletter. And here's a little secret: I don't give anything away. Like people, I hear so many people like, well, you have to have a giveaway. You have to give away. What's on the screen now is exactly what shows up on my website. I don't have a paragraph of what I write about. I'm not doing a free giveaway. I just have a point of view. Elevator pitch tips. Sign up for my elevator. Man, that is ugly. It's ugly. I dislike it. And I average 2 signups a day. I average 2 signups a day, almost 60 a month, over 700 a year, just from having that box on my website. I mean, I should have done, talking about planting a tree, I should have done that 3 years ago, right? That list would be a lot bigger now too. And so if you're sitting there and you're like, you know what, Andy, this is great, but I don't have a lot of traffic, and I don't have a fancy online software tool that I've developed, or that kind of stuff. What I wish I'd done years ago is just kind of figure out what tips you can provide in an email newsletter. Put a simple box where people can see it at the top of your website. I mean, put it right front and center on the web page. Like that's what you want them to do, right? If somebody comes to your website and enters their email address, you've won. Like that is a huge success in online marketing. And people saying, what, a newsletter? When am I going to have time for that? And the cool thing about the newsletter under this model is that once you're already blogging on a regular basis, you can just send the pointer to your blog, to your email newsletter list. Right? I mean, it doesn't. You can get more sophisticated than that, but that's a good start. Blog, attract traffic, offer tips, email newsletter, grow your list. That is the way this works. So now I want to ask you an important question. So I want you to put your pen and paper down. Leave it in front of you, but I'm going to ask you to type something into the chat box. So put it down. I know you're probably scribbling lots of notes, and that's great. My question for you, and let's practice what we're learning. My question for you is, what is the most surprising or valuable thing that you just learned? So go ahead and type into the chat box of the work we've gone through this kind of 3-step process. What has been the most surprising or valuable thing that you've learned from what I've been talking about? So I love doing webinars to put the fun back in business. This is supposed to be fun, folks. I've been in front of over 1,000 people in the past 5 years in person and on webinars, and over 25,000 people have used my online software tool to improve their elevator pitch and their networking results. This is what I love to do. That's how it's going for me. So let's take a look at what you've learned. Don't wait, do it. Blogging drives signups. Google is king. Never knew. Google is king. I mean, I get some traffic from Bing and Yahoo and everything, but Google far, the Google is crazy. A landing page will work just fine. Yep. The simple newsletter sign up is effective. Yep. Blogging is important. Good. Those are all great things to know. So original content and homepage, great. All right. So you're all learning. That's great. Good. Thank you. Thanks for being so active here. So lots of amazing stuff. So one more question that I'll have you answer. So let's say that you get to the point that you grow your list. What will it be like when you have a bigger list? When you're not constantly stressing about how many prospects you aren't attracting, or how new customers are finding you rather than you having to hunt them down. How will you feel, and what will you do with your time? So just respond really quickly. Like when you get to this point that you kind of have an engine that's throwing leads at you, what's that going to mean to you? How's that going to feel to you? And what is that going to mean for how you do with your time? I'll just give you a couple seconds to type that in. Great. People want to travel more. People want to go skiing. I'm with you. They're able to manage time. Yeah, that's a great thing. Really good. Good. More time to focus on other issues. Yeah, great. We can all use more time, right? That is a really good process. It sounds like you all have kind of fun, cool things you want to do with your time, and that's what I was able to do once I created this process for myself. Like more free time, able to do what I love. Playing the piano, skiing, writing books, spending time with my family, doing things that I love, and and someone said, Todd, travel more, a lot of fun, spend more time blogging, right? I actually kind of do that myself. I just spend more time blogging now that I have extra time. I would not have thought of myself as a writer. Like people assume that that's kind of what I wanted to do. I would not have considered myself a writer, but writing is what I do now. I write blog posts, I write sales letters, I write proposals. I do a lot of writing, and who knew? So what I'll talk about in the training here is getting better results from what you're already doing, even if you don't think you're doing that much. Because remember, with just a blog post a month, you got 12 things for Google to find within a year. So even if you don't think you have a big online presence, this is still something you can do. We had another good question. I don't want to scroll. How to turn those leads into new businesses and not let those leads slip by. A lot of leads slip by, right? I mean, that's just the way it is. I get 2,000 people visit my page, and about 40 actually fill out the form. And there are things I could probably do. I might be able to get up to 80 or maybe 100 a day. There have been times when I've been getting kind of 100 leads a day, and I certainly want to get as many as I can. But you know how it is when you're poking around on the web, you're not always really looking for something. And so I think it's important not to worry too much about the stuff that slips by. You want to focus on the stuff that you're getting. I got a question. Would you say you now have a passion for writing? Yeah, I kind of do. Like I love writing. I love it now. And what about people that don't read? Well, Peter, in terms of getting their attention, if you've got people that don't read, I mean, if you've got people that don't read, you can do video blogging. I mean, it was in vogue and then it was kind of out of vogue. I mean, if you've got people who don't read, video might be an option. Also, the web might not be the right place if you're going after people who don't read. That might just and again, I don't, I'm not trying to suggest that this is the one thing or the only thing. You just have to do that. So So it's time to move on to the next part of the agenda, which is your Grow Your List Acceleration Program. So grow your list, grow your business. I'm really excited about this because it's a way to answer all the questions people have about growing your business online. It's such a great way to get better leads and make lots more sales in your business. So grow your list, grow your business. So I want to tell you exactly what's involved in this coaching program and show you how I can take action on customizing it for you, because there's so many topics, so many moving parts. I want to go through the most common aspects of growing a business. And I like to work holistically. So your website, as I've been saying, it may not be the best priority for you right now. You might be getting ready to speak to an audience about your topic. You might be transitioning from giving free advice to being a paid coach. You might be turning your in-person workshops into online webinars. There's a lot of stuff that you might be doing. So we've talked today about some ideas for your website, which is great because it works 24/7 even when you're asleep. But let's talk about that in the context of your whole business. So when do you give free advice and when do you charge? I mean, I work with people all the time on whether they should do sample sessions or how to politely refuse to work for free. How do you kind of turn down your friends or some who are expecting you to work for them, or when to welcome no-fee work with open arms, right? It's a balancing act. And I found it useful to decide what's my free content and what's paid, and talk through those rare cases where I do break those rules. There is some paid stuff that I will sometimes do for free, and how to know when people are wasting your time. That's the thing. You talk about productizing services, right? It's the big problem for folks that are selling services. How do you turn that into a product? And I love working on that kind of stuff. The real kicker. How do you name it? Decide what to include, what not to include, what to offer as add-ons. How do we get away from charging hourly? Because that's where really all the profit is. If you're still charging hourly, it's really, really hard to start turning a profit. So pricing, we talk a lot about pricing models. Why not to put your prices on your website? Why it's important to have a pricing sheet, and even more important, never to share it with anyone. We can talk. I can take it behind the scenes with my autoresponders. Like if you're already attracting people to your list, it's really important to have an autoresponder. I don't do it for sales. I do have sales letters that go out. I don't expect sales, not at first, because they serve a bigger purpose. I'll show you the pitfalls. MailChimp has actually warned me several times. And that's one of the things with a big list like that. That's what it happens. So autoresponders are crucial for managing a big list. Talk about developing relationships, right? I can't send an email to 40 people every day. Like I don't have enough time for that. The autoresponders handle those touches, and I show you how to design all that stuff. We talk about writing great proposals. I have this great story about 2 tree estimates I got and how they were different, and I've just taken that and that's how I do my proposals now. And there's one of those proposals I would have taken even if it had been twice as expensive as the other one. It was actually cheaper, but if it had been twice as expensive, I would have used Tim anyway. And so I'll share the template I can share the template with you, how long to make it, what to talk about, how to send it, how to price it, how to present the price, whether or not to offer discounts. Once you master the style, you start getting sales. Well, once you talk people into proposals, that's really what you're looking for. Talk about doing presentations. I do a lot of presentations, in-person presentations, online presentations. How do you choose your topic? How do you engage your audience? Where do you give your talk? There was a question earlier about how do you keep people reading, and that's all. It's all within this, right? When you're writing, you learn how to write. And again, in 300 words, people don't lose track that quickly, but there are a lot of techniques I use to keep people reading. How much should you charge for your presentations? Should you do no-fee presentations? The optimal length, how to get people to sign up for your newsletter at your talk, how to sell products at your talk. You develop a great one-pager. Develop a one-pager that you can send to people. If someone says, what do? You need a one-pager for that, and it's not as complicated as most people will have you think. So writing a book. This dovetails well with doing presentations. It's the best decision I made, aside from driving traffic to my website. And it wasn't nearly as hard as I thought it was going to be. It's a real game changer. And it's interesting for me because I have no desire to be on the bestseller list. So the book has more value to me in many other ways It's already led to several really nice paid jobs, and much more interest in me as a speaker. And so you may want to write a book, you may not, but again, that's something you can talk about. I actually had a lot of the material already. I just put it in the book form, and so that was really, to take you through when it makes sense to write a book, how to publish it, how to sell it, when to give it away. Partnerships. I talked about those folks down in Florida. I like this term better than joint ventures. It's partnership. And I will say that most don't work. I got a lot of partnerships. I had some do work. I've gotten about a half a dozen new good paying clients in the past couple of months through my key partnerships. And I do webinars now for 30 new people on a regular basis through another one. And most of the partnerships I have are going nowhere. So we'll talk about when it's a good idea, when it's not, how to spot the good ones, how to avoid being sucked in by the bad ones. And I tell the delicious story of the best connection I ever made from the worst project I ever worked on, right? It's absolutely the worst project I ever worked on in either my corporate or my coaching career, and got one of my best contacts out of it. So you just never know. Partnerships can be very interesting. When you get to that point, we talk about the challenges of managing a huge email list. When you hit send to 20,000 people, really sweat's coming dripping off your brow. Strange things happen. And if I handed you a big list today, it's really worthless to you, right? Everyone's like, oh, I wish I had that list, but you have to build the list. You build the list over time. People have to want to be on it. That's how it works. So, so how to deal with unsubscribes, how many complaints you're allowed per 1,000 sends, key ways to avoid complaints, how to segment your list, lots of stuff around that. And then there's also newsletters, blogging, networking, lots of other ways to do this kind of stuff. And a lot of you might say, well, what about my elevator pitch? And you're in serious luck, because I am including a full unlimited access to my on-demand online program, the Profitable Elevator Pitches. It is 3 programs talking through the 7-word, the 30-second, and then the follow-up process, right? The elevator pitch just starts the process. So when you do all 3 of those, you give the pitch and then you follow up. That's really when it starts to work. And also for anyone who signs up today, I'm doing my Becoming a Trusted Advisor program this fall. It is an online program, but I'm actually doing a live version this fall. And if you sign up today, you'll automatically be included in that. So if networking, if networking is on your horizon, this is actually a pretty good deal just for that. It's a 5-week webinar program. It's going to start in October. I would go over the 5 skills of the trusted advisor, how to build that trust and get yourself more referrals. Today's program has been how to get leads from your website. The Becoming a Trusted Advisor program is really about how to attract leads from your business network. So they go together very, very nicely. So here's what we're talking about. The recap. There's 4 private coaching calls, $600 value with me. I usually offer only 3 to 6 month programs, but what I'm offering today is kind of like a starter pack. I almost never do this, but I wanted to offer a small investment and some really big changes for your business. So that's a $600 value. The Profitable Elevator Pitches goes for $297, and the Becoming a Trusted Advisor is $497. That's very cool. So I'm just putting at a value of a little over $1,300 for everything, although it's way more than that. I charge $175 for half an hour, and you get over 4 hours of private coaching, plus the videos and worksheets, and listen to recordings whenever you want. So if you wanted this advice from me by the hour, it's way more than $1,000. So you can see the value of that. So the price would be $600, but since you're my most loyal followers and you're incredible action takers and committed to growth in your mindset and got such great value out and see the value in investing in information and advice and to get results, I'm going to make today's price at $297. So you get incredible value for your investment. When you get it, for those who take action, you get some amazing results. So here's what we're going to do right now. We're going to get to the Q&A in just a second. So you have questions, feel free to put them in. I'm going to take all the questions in just a minute, but I want you to go right now to improvandy.com/buy-coaching. So improvandy.com/buy-coaching, and just go ahead and type that into your browser. And when you get there, again, this is the website you're going to, but when you get there, there's the Buy Coaching, there's the Buy Now button. And if you go ahead and click on that Buy Now button, so again, we're going to improvandy.com/buy-coaching. And click on that Buy Now button. Now, here's the thing. I know that you're a human being. So click on the Buy Now. And then I know you're a human being, but I can't seem to convince my credit card processor of that. So you just have to, there's a code on your screen. Just have to type that code into the thing, and that type it into that box. Not the code that's on this screen, but the code that's on the screen where you are. You have support packet coaching, $297. There you go. It comes with the Profitable Elevator Pitch, Becoming a Trusted Advisor, all that kind of stuff. So you press continue from there. So fill in that box, press continue. And now you know the drill. Get out your credit card, put the numbers in right there, take action right now. I want to coach you to grow your business. I want you to get the special deal and bonuses before all the slots are filled up, because I can't take everyone. It's wouldn't want to have to put you on the waiting list. So go ahead and get yourself in there. So improvandy.com/buy coaching. That is where this deal is. So we're going to go over there right now, and we'll do this over the next 15 minutes or so. I've got a Q&A. We're going to talk it through again. You're getting all the information. You're getting the bonuses. You're getting the calls with me and the bonuses and the elevator pitch training and the trusted advisor training, and all the worksheets and everything that goes with that. Getting better results from your website, from your business, right? I mean, again, the website may not be exactly the thing, but I'll show you how to do it step by step. And I've gotten some great questions. If you have other questions, please feel free to type them in. I'll just start going through them now. So we'll do a little bit on questions, and then we'll do the free giveaway at the end of the coaching call with me. So great question to start with here is, how do you find your point of view? That is a great question, and that's really the kind of work that I do with people. People are surprised that I had someone recently he'd been working on his elevator pitch for years, and in about 10 minutes I got him an elevator pitch. We spent a little longer polishing it, but in about 10 minutes I kind of had the essence of the elevator pitch down. And your point of view isn't anything really complicated. Like we talk about, within the first session we talk about, we can set up your point of view. And it's hard. Like, I don't want to pretend. Becoming the elevator pitch coach was a tough thing for me. Like, it is hard to recognize this is a key thing for your business. And I will say that my website, there's a secret back door on my website. There's a whole second website kind of underneath it with the second thing that I thought I was selling. But I'm kind of moving away from that. Like, you can't really serve two masters. And so your point of view, it's hard to come up with the point of view. Once you have the point of view, it makes all this stuff that we're talking about a lot easier. That you find that point of view. So great, keep the questions coming. Got a couple more coming in. So, what was that article you wrote that drove all the traffic? So I actually don't like to give that away, because I do consider that, the web's kind of like real estate. Like, you grab your spot, and you could probably figure it out if you thought too long about it. But it's an article. Again, I wrote an article that was kind of based on. I just wrote an article that was something I was working on, and it started driving traffic. And that's really what I coach people through, is how to come up with the top. People were asking, how do you come up with the topics? How do you come up with the content? That's really what I work with people on, is coming up with that content, coming up with the topics, writing it. Again, it's hard. The first couple of things I wrote took me hours, but I can turn out a blog post plus my email newsletter in about an hour and a half now. That's about all it takes. Got a question from Kimberly. Andy, do I already have the software package I have access to? Kimberly, I don't understand the question. If you can give me a little more on that question, I will be happy to answer it. I already have the software package. Have access to why? I mean, if you're talking about the programs, the profitable elevator pitches, you may already have a login there, and I can just, once you sign up, I'll just add it to your. I have a membership site with all my training packages, and that's where you'll get all this stuff. Peter, how do I find WordPress? There are two WordPresses. You can actually put stuff out on WordPress.com, but I don't recommend that. I recommend getting your own domain and installing WordPress on that. And if you're looking for a web developer to do that, I know a couple of people who are pretty good at that and pretty reasonable for setting up a WordPress site. It's very, for developers, it's very easy to set up a WordPress site. And again, that's what makes it so nice. Like, it's easy to do, and then then it's like working in Word, right? I mean, working with a WordPress site is just like working in Word. So they set it up, and then you can start blogging, and it's really quite simple. I have access to one of your software, the ePitch, that includes the same software. I'm not sure, Kimberly. I'm not sure which one you signed up for, but it could be the same thing. But again, they could be the same thing, and we can work something out if you've already gotten that. That's fine. Peter, thanks. That's good. Yeah. So again, WordPress. I like people to have their own domain, their own hosting account, and I talked about hosting accounts. I made a lot of that's good. Well, you can certainly call me if you're interested. You can go ahead and sign up, and we can set up the calls, but and if you want, I can talk to you after the webinar shuts down. We can do that. So I can really just let me know what you, or you can email me, just let me know what you'd like to do. So I got more questions coming in. I want to keep going. So how do you keep in touch with people? Well, so I keep in touch with people by my email newsletter. I am on social media. I have a Twitter account. I do LinkedIn. I find LinkedIn. I do have some people following me on LinkedIn. Like people say, oh, I've been watching your posts on LinkedIn. So I do get that. I do not get a whole lot of stuff off of Twitter. So that's yeah. So that's the thing. But keeping in touch with people. So I network. But really my newsletter is the thing. And again, it started with the Elevator Pitch Tips email newsletter. And it was at 750 was the magic number when my creator, my Elevator Pitch creator email eclipsed my tips email newsletter. So now my tips newsletter is about 1,500, but the creator is more like 20,000. And so how do I keep in touch with people? I use email. I do write. Again, I write. Like I'm always writing. I'm writing presentations. I'm writing blog posts. I'm writing newsletters. I do a lot of writing. So that's what it is. So what makes a great blog post? The interesting thing for me is that I have found it easier now to write a weekly blog post than I ever found it to do an every other week or a monthly, because when you're doing a monthly post, or if there's kind of time in between, then you start to put too much value on it. You start to kind of, it's got to be the perfect thing. It's the only thing I'm publishing this month. It's got to be just right. And so what makes a great blog post is posting the blog. Like I really truly believe that the most important thing you can do is to post. And even if it's not great yet, that's fine, right? I mean, it doesn't, nobody's really testing it against, your seventh grade English teacher isn't going to be reading it, right? You just want to start getting your stuff out there. So in terms of a great blog post, you really want to be posting. And I would, and that's the thing for me. If I'm writing weekly, I just write the post and post it. I mean, I edit it and do that kind of stuff, but there's less of a, because I'm writing a new one next week. And that's really the thing. Like, it's not, the stuff is timeless because it'll be on the web, but Google likes recent things. And so the more stuff you post, the better off it'll be. And so another question, what if I really want people to find my homepage? Yes, well, I mean, if you have the money, you can certainly launch an ad campaign and launch a national, international ad campaign and get people to know your name and all that kind of stuff. I always like to think, I've been amused because all the, I get spam emails almost daily on, people want to make me on the first page of Google. But being on the first page of Google, as we've talked about today, that's only the first step. And being on the first page of Google, then you actually have to do something with that. I mean, people have to click on it, and then they have to do something. And so it's not as straightforward as all that. So I think it's important to get, and there's this trend in homepages, and you make that long first homepage, then people will find it, but your homepage isn't changing, folks. Like when you talk about content, when you talk about Google, and when you talk about all this stuff, like those pages are not. It is not the interesting thing. It is not the interesting thing. So the questions are kind of slowing down now, so I'll give it another. Well, give another 30 seconds. I'll start. We're still got to pick the winner of the. Got to pick the winner, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Again, if you have questions, feel free to put them in. I'm just poking through the chats. You did a lot of great chats. So. So great. I got a couple more questions coming in. That's good. I'm still working on who's gonna be the winner. So you've all done a really good job. So you're making it really hard for me. So hit your home page. How do I get this to navigate to my blog? Peter, you're actually thinking about that backwards. What happens a lot is people end up on your blog, and then they'll hit the home to kind of find out what you're about. So again, the home page. I don't think you don't want to do any work on the home page, but if you look at the home page, what you're talking about is not the way that it works. Right, people don't go to your homepage and then visit your blog. The way the web works now, people are searching for something and they'll find something in your blog, and if they like what they read in your blog, they might read another couple of blog posts, and then they might go back to your homepage or kind of look at your menus to kind of figure out what you're about. They find the blog page because Google finds it. Good question, Peter. So he asked, how do they find the blog page? They find the blog page because Google finds it and indexes it, and when someone searches for the thing that your blog post is about, that's what comes up. That's really what we're talking about here. That people are not, and I think this is a good mindset to work on. It's the mindset that I work on with a lot of people. That the homepage is no longer the thing people are finding. Like, you're not looking for people to find your homepage. You're looking for people to find the thing that they're looking for, right? And I've tried it. And I've tried all of this, right? I mean, I've tried setting my homepage up this way and that way and the other way, So yeah, I mean, so the big thing that's going on here is that Google is pointing people to everyone's going to Google. I mean, I worked as a software engineer before Google existed, right? I've been around. It wasn't that long ago that we didn't have Google. So I know that I was able to work without Google, but I can't go more than 10 minutes now without needing to ask Google something, right? So Google is like everywhere now. So they find the blog through Google, and Peter asked to follow. So the more I write, the more Google recognizes it. Yes, I mean, it's one of those. One of my piano teachers actually told me this about writing music, that quality comes from quantity, and that's really what we're talking about here on the web. That if you're writing, a weekly or an every other week blog post, that the particular blog posts don't matter that much. It is the aggregate, and that's why I recommend writing. And yes, the more active your page is, the more people go to it, the more Google sends that way. Like that. That's how Google again. Google wants you to like its results. Google wants you to find what you're looking for in the results that it gives you. And so if you get results and you click on something, Google takes note of that and starts showing it to more people. And if more people click on it, then it starts showing it to more people. So that's really what Google is doing. So those are good questions. And again, that's the mindset. That was the mindset that I had to change. And I'm no longer trying to get people to my homepage. I update my homepage. I keep it up to date. I do stuff with it, but I'm telling you, I get 2,000 hits a day. All but 35 of them are to my blog. That's where it comes from. So how about mentioning Google in my blog? Well, you don't. People aren't. If you are Google something, then you could want people who are searching for Google to find you. But the thing that you're talking about in your blog is the thing that people are searching for. Does that make sense, Peter? So mentioning Google in your blog doesn't make sense unless you're actually somebody who helps people with Google optimization or SEO or something like that. Google's not going to find it. Google doesn't like itself. So, Google won't set itself back as a page unless you're actually searching for Google. So okay, good. You're asking really good questions like that, and this is part of the reason I decided to do this webinar. Is this is a mind shift. Like it's a different way of thinking about this, and it's not. I work with a lot of marketing folks. I know a lot of folks, and people don't really think this way. But this is, if you look at the success I'm having on my website, this mindset is where it's coming from. That and again, we can do some Google keyword search kind of things, but the best thing is really just to start writing about the stuff that you know about. Find a way, find your kind of style and voice for telling stories. Tell the stories, get people reading your blogs. That's good. And Peter, you're a dinosaur with the internet. Yeah, but you're not. I wouldn't have. I'm not getting that from your questions. I get these questions from a lot of people who are actually very savvy. I've been getting these questions from people who are actually marketing. People emailed me from my marketing stuff saying, "Hey, what are you talking about? There's no need to SEO your homepage. That's not true." They're like, "Well, I don't know. I mean, it may be, but I really don't do much of that." All right, good. Thank you for all your questions. I want to get you back. I want to kind of stay within our time frame and get you back to where you were. So I'm going to pick the winner now. And you know what? so many of you did such a good job that. All right, so there's three of you that win. So the winners are Peter Smith, Peter Cummings, and Dorothy Bowen. Did I pronounce that right? Dorothy Bowman. Sorry. So if the three of you, Peter Smith, Peter Cummings, and Dorothy Bowman, if you want to just shoot me an email, we'll set up your complimentary 30-minute call. And for everyone else, thanks for being on the call. There's a couple more minutes for if you want to sign up for the offer, you can go ahead and do that for a couple more minutes. My email is awinnig@improvandy.com. I'll put that in the. But if you go to my website, you can certainly. So my email is awinnig@improvandy.com. Go ahead and email me. We'll get that set up. And so great, everyone. Thanks for staying on till the end. It's really been fun working with you. I appreciate the comments. Hope you enjoyed. Got a lot of information. So that's it. Appreciate your time and energy for being on. Thanks for being active and engaging and connecting and commenting with me. It means a lot. And thanks for your time. And if I can support you, just let me know. If you'd hit me up, and we will go from there. So get out there, grow your list, and grow your business. Thanks for being on the call, everyone.